We moved to California in October 1958. I was almost 14. We were too late for the Dodgers, but a week after we arrived, my dad took me to see the Los Angeles Rams play the Chicago Bears at the Los Angeles Coliseum. Jaguar John Arnett, who had played college football at the University of Southern California, had a monster performance, running the ball, catching passes coming out of the backfield, and returning kicks. The Rams won 41-35. The crowd that day? 100,470. So many years later, with the NFL absent from the country's second largest market, I hear the argument that Los Angeles wouldn't support a team anyway. Well, with the Los Angeles metropolitan area, at that time, 40% of the size it is now, more than 100,000 showed up for a game at the Coliseum. You really think you couldn't fill a 70,000-seat stadium today on a regular basis? Don't be ridiculous. We lived on the west side of Los Angeles in Cheviot Hills. I went to Alexander Hamilton High School, and as in Brooklyn, I was going to 40 to 50 Dodger games each season. The team played in the Coliseum until 1962. The tickets ranged from $1.50 for a bleacher seat to $3.50 for the best seat in the house. I was there, along with 93,102 other fans, when Roy Campanella, who'd been the Dodgers' regular catcher in Brooklyn and had been paralyzed in an automobile accident in January 1958, was honored on May 7, 1959. They wheeled him out as they dimmed the stadium lights, and almost everyone in the stands lit a lighter or a match in tribute. A few months later, I was at the 1959 World Series when the Dodgers beat the Chicago White Sox in 6 games. Games 3, 4, and 5 were at the Coliseum. The crowds each day were 92,000 and change. Meanwhile, when I wasn't at a game, Vin Scully was still taking me there on the radio. Scully was just 22 years old when he joined Red Barber in 1950 and then came with the team to Los Angeles, where he'd quickly become extremely popular in the land of the car and the car radio. Now that I was a little older, I was paying closer attention to what made Vin different from all other broadcasters. I guess the best way to summarize it would be that at the time, a lot of announcing was black and white. Here's what happened, and here's what happened next. Vin, though, was full-blown color, breathing life and detail into virtually every moment of every game. When the Dodgers moved to California, owner Walter O'Malley had feared that putting the games on television, giving them away for free, would hurt them at the gate. Today, teams make much more money on television contracts than ticket sales, but in the late 1950s, the thinking and the economics were different. In any event, no TV meant that my experience with Scully came almost entirely on the radio. I couldn't see the game, so he'd form the images in my mind. I loved the Dodgers. I loved the Los Angeles Rams. Eventually, years later, I'd switch my NHL allegiance from the Rangers to the Kings, who started play as an expansion team in 1967. And when my teams weren't involved, I still watched every sports event I could on television. Not necessarily to root, but instead to see what stories would emerge. I was fascinated by the competition. I was rooting for drama, a close game, and excitement. I loved the ebb and flow. I wanted extra innings. I wanted overtime. I wanted controversy, strategy, anything you could talk about with your friends for days afterward. When I was 17, ABC launched a new show on Saturdays, Wide World of Sports. Years later, I'd become a regular on Wide World. There was Jim McKay's famous line, "The thrill of victory and the agony of defeat," as the ski jumper, a Slovenian by the name of Vinko Bogataj, careened down and then fell off the side of the jumping hill. It looked catastrophic. What you didn't see was that 30 seconds later he walked away with only minor injuries. Still, I always found the next line to be even more poignant. The human drama of athletic competition. That's what I could never get enough of. Even now, when I'm in my car in Los Angeles, I'll turn on a Dodger game and still know I'm going to hear Vin Scully, well into his 80s, describe some of that drama. I used to dream about replacing Scully and becoming the voice of the Dodgers at some point in my life. That ship, of course, has sailed. A couple of years ago, I was at an awards luncheon with